What's up, Wolfpack? Welcome back to the Never Ending Voice podcast. It's me, Michael, aka Wolf Mantula, and I know what you're here for, so here it is. The interview with the one and the only Ben Galley. Yeah. So, surprise, it's me again. Okay, so first, before we get to the video, I want to say, let me raise up a little bit, there we go. I just want to say that there is going to be some audio issues. It's a learning curve, so I do apologize if you don't hear me very well in some of this. I will get better at it, and I really thought that I had this taken care of, but the way I had my screen set up, I ended up blocking my speaker, and I didn't use my microphone, so it ended up blocking some stuff. So you are going to not hear me a few times speaking, so I do apologize for that. So with that said, on to the video. Man, it's really great to do this and you be the first one, especially with your book coming out literally next week.
Yeah, I'm terrified, but I'm honestly honored that you chose me. So I appreciate that, man. I really do.
You're going to be the one that gets to experience a lot of the, I guess the growing pains first.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of got that worked out because I did some experimenting with just trying to imagine me talking to someone.
Yeah,
get that out. So hopefully I've already kind of got most of those bugs on my own worked out.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of fun doing it though. I did my author lounge and I really enjoyed doing that. But yeah, it's kind of when you're recording it and you're setting up and you're the host, it's like sometimes a little bit too much like admin or pressure. Or, yeah. No, it's good, man. Yeah. No, thank you very much for having me and for doing this. And like I said, yeah, I'm honored. And also I just want to say thank you as well for your awesome review. It really has made this launch or the process or the admin a lot lighter, which is good. And yeah, it's just because I'm so close to like the actual deadline normally I've got things done, but I've been writing a book at the same time as well as trying to do all the formatting and editing myself. So yeah.
From Bearded Darkness, because I was watching that one live stream. So I remember about you having a new book coming out.
Yeah.
Series that you're starting. So
yeah,
especially because it's fantasy and horror mixed.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's going to be my 1,000 Miles Dark, which is going to be the first thing I'm writing in I might try and take January off because I've been working too hard. And yeah, I've got like a book launch in December. Sorry, excuse me. I don't know why I'm coughing today.
Good.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just too much all at once. And I'm supposed to write a book before the end of the year as well. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. But we'll see.
Yeah, that's busy. You and Ryan Cahill just
constantly.
Y'all are busy.
Yeah, it's the only way to get it done. That's the thing. When you, I think Ryan probably does the same thing where he like sets a date and is like, yeah, I can do that, and then underestimates how much stuff is also going on at the same time because he's got lots of projects and everyone's got lots of projects. But yeah, we're far too ambitious basically, and then we just like screw ourselves over.
Ambitious, then just be kind of laid back and go, it'll get done. Like it's better.
Yeah.
And go, I'm going to reach that. And if you don't, you just move it just a little bit and like, I can, like, it's that way because, like, I mean, you got to give yourself a goal to reach it. So,
yeah,
like, if you don't set something there and just leave it open ended, you never know how long you're going to take doing something. So it's good to set something where I need to meet that.
That's it.
Also, kind of understand that you, as an independent author, you can kind of push that back when needed. It's not 100%.
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me.
That is good.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I think I'm just like, for some reason, I went for a run yesterday, which was the first piece of exercise I've ever done, but it's just given me a cough from like using my lungs that haven't been used that much. So yeah, I think I'm good. It shouldn't happen throughout the interview, but but no, you're exactly right. And the problem is like setting a date and then suddenly being like, yeah, cool, that's the date. And then you've said it publicly, so you can't change it. Yeah, and so that's what I did. And I gave myself 3 months to rewrite and edit. and I'm still formatting the paperbacks and the hardbacks for Blood Moon and Blood Feud today. Yeah, exactly that. I'm just gonna grab my headphones because I don't want any sort of like my sound picking up your sound, so I just want to isolate that for you wherever they've gone somewhere. Sweet. There we go. Otherwise, yeah, it should be good to go.
All right. So, I guess one of the bigger questions is like, what really got into the idea of kind of revamping this Scarlet Star? Because I've noticed that you've also you said you did it with the Shelf Health book, and then so kind of back over the written as well. So what goes into that? Because I know it's early work, and then now that you've put a lot more into it, you understand a little bit more. So you've gone back and looked at stuff, but like, what exactly just kind of made you go, you know what, I really like this, so I want to make it better so more people can have it?
Yeah. It's a lot. A lot of it is that because the reason why I decided to do it now is because it was coming up to the actual 10-year anniversary of Blood Rush, which is kind of crazy to think that I read that 10 years ago. So I thought, it'd be nice to do something to commemorate the sort of 10-year anniversary of it. So I'm sort of calling these 10-year anniversary editions as well as rewritten, re-edited, because I am really proud of the story, and it's a weird mishmash of all sorts of different things. It's bizarre.
It was one of the every single day it was like, I have to read at least a little bit of this, like even I'm very busy, like I'm took time out to go, I'm going to read some of this because
I appreciate that.
Like it's I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh man, I appreciate that. And that's the thing, I think it's it was never one of my best sellers because I think it was because I wrote the Emaneska series and 4 books of epic Nordic fantasy, and then instead of kind of maybe sticking with that series or that kind of style, I went to alternate history, Weird West, Gaslamp instead. So it's like, okay, I threw some people pretty heavy curveball, but that's the thing, I've always enjoyed it, and I think it's always had potential. It's one of my like favorite magic systems I've ever come up with. It's not extremely fancy in the fact that they're dragons and huge amounts of magic. There's a lot of magic, but it's not dragons and griffins and swords and battles and things like that. It's very much kind of day by day. It's got like diary entries in it and things like that, where it's just slowly cranking up the tension.
That's I think a lot of just maybe it's just like a weird Western. It hasn't been like super popular, but like it's and like, to be honest, I haven't really read much in that genre, but once I read that, I was like, man, I kind of want to find more stuff like this. Just because it's different. And then you talk the magic, like you do, there are some times where you see a lot of just blood magic, but yours is completely different, where they're actually taking blood from like mythical creatures and animals and drinking it, and they're getting abilities that mimic something towards that type of animal. Not just all of a sudden they got magic and stuff. Like it's literally towards that certain type of animal. And what I thought was really cool was it made it specific. It wasn't just I drank blood of an animal and now I've got powers. It's specific for that, and that's what I really liked.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's kind of why I'm really enjoying, and I was doing all the formatting this week. And I really enjoy like the Ars Magica and the list that I've got in the back of the book, which is I think there's probably about 100 different examples of the blood and all the different shades that you can drink and what they do and what they the negative effects and things like that, and I love it. And so that was one of the reasons why I've always really enjoyed the series, always been really proud of it. And so part of it was almost nostalgic to go back through it as well and just have a look at it, because there's scenes that I forgot. I was like, okay, I like this. And the other facet of it is, oh, sorry, I missed that. What did you say there, Michael?
Like going back and seeing something that you really like, you go, I might be able to rework this a little bit into a future book with something different. Like
exactly.
I like doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. That was hugely fun part of it. Yeah, exactly. And it's something that I think with time as well. Yeah, I mean my style not necessarily has changed, but it's definitely evolved. And I like to think it's got better in terms of my writing style. Things I know about, just the kind of the nitty gritty of the actual writing process as well. Some of the editing mistakes I found, or some of the ways I used to use semicolons back in 2014. I was just like, old Ben needs to be, or young Ben needs to be strangled. But so it was kind of doing it justice as well as rewriting it as well and kind of updating it, because I thought if I was going to give it new covers and push it out and have this special edition that I'm kind of putting out, why not make sure it's the best it can be? And so kind of just spent the last couple of months and most of the year just messing around with it, removing some of the things that as well as time, and with the being an author as well, there's a lot I've learned about the world that also 2014-year-old Ben didn't know, kind of stuck in a bedroom in the UK. Coming to North America has really taught me a lot about its history, its peoples, and its problems and things like that. So I was able to actually kind of make the ultimate world that I've created for Scarlet Star, even more real, and also just make sure I'm just kind of not appropriating as well. It's always a danger, and so really just kind of just tightening it up, and it's been great. It's fun. I'm so excited for the launch on Tuesday.
It is right around the corner, like quite literally.
Oh yeah. It's scary.
I love the fact that you're doing the giveaway as well, and like on Facebook when I did it, I think like maybe 10 or 15 people from my friends and family, they were like, "Oh, yep, we're retweeting." Like, yeah, get everybody doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, it's going to be good. I can't wait to actually see the physical copies because they're full of art, and it's the kind of the most effort I've ever put into formatting a paperback and a hardback either, because I've always done my own formatting for print. Ebooks, I have a guy. He's great. He's technical. He knows what he's doing. I've worked with him for like 14 years, and I always just send him my books, and he knows exactly what I need. But the paperback side of things, I've always loved doing, or the print side of things, I've always loved doing it. So I taught myself InDesign like 2 years ago, and so it's black pages. There's all sort of interesting just extra stuff that's going into the print versions. So I can't wait to see him. I can't wait for everyone else to see him as well. But lots of illustrations, lots of character portraits, lots of there's huge amounts of like map stuff as well, and there it is. So that's why I had to learn InDesign, is the special edition. And it's helped. It definitely has helped.
There because I know that you also said that you might be doing Kickstarters with Scarlet Star as well, and also Chasing Graves. Which Graves is the first series that I actually read of yours.
Oh, awesome. Nice.
So that was the first I'd ever heard of you back at least. And that's just because those covers are, those covers are awesome. Like,
I know.
All the covers off. I don't even know what this is, but I'm reading it. Like,
that's it. That
sticks out. So
nice.
It's been a journey because I still haven't actually read these yet. I keep on planning to. It's just big TBR, people coming in parks and stuff. Like it's those things where sometimes a lot of stuff just gets double. And like I didn't start until 2018, 2017. So like there's been a lot of me trying to go back to older stuff to try to kind of read some of that and then kind of catch stuff that's been coming out the last couple years. Trying to build my own like just reading area so that I can, when I read new stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see how they use this from that series. I understand why people like this series now. Like it's been a long journey.
That's super cool though.
50 plus books a year, which it's ebook, and like I drive a lot, so I do the whisper, and that helps me a ton. When I'm doing ARC reads, I use the spoken content on phone, so that at least when I'm driving, I have that going, so that I can listen to it, and then whenever I'm able to, I sit down and just read.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, that's smart.
it helps
Yeah.
me a ton whenever I get to do stuff like that to make it go by. Because, like I said, with I can't think of it. It's just Scarlet Star.
Oh yeah.
Blood Rush, right?
Yeah.
Okay. With that one, like, I literally in my work truck, I would just sit it up there and just start playing, and I'm just
nice.
And then whenever I'll, like, if there's something that popped up, I'll take a screenshot and then wait till I stop and go back to it and highlight stuff.
Nice.
Like, so, like, I try to do it. Basically, I end up with, I don't know, I would probably say about 5 hours, about 3 hours of my work day. I can listen to it just because my driving back and forth in between.
Yeah.
Like, I all that stuff out. It takes a little bit longer whenever there are longer books, but
yeah, that's the thing. We like our longer books in the fantasy community, definitely.
Back to what you were saying, pictures. So all the portraits that you've been posting, are those going to be in there as well?
100%. Yeah. So all the front of the book is like gray, like old paper, like edge to edge. And it's basically, I've got my playlist in there that I kind of updated as well. And then you've got a cast section, which I've never done before. And I actually really like them. Same as like what came before and things like that in sequels. I've started doing that a bit more as well, because I know people like them. I do as well as a reader. So it's great. But yeah.
A bunch. Yeah.
That's the thing.
I take a lot of notes. So a lot of times, like the arc that I just finished reading with Dark Ashton, the two. So have a story so far or a character list. So I went back to my notes from the first book when I did the arc, and was able to kind of keep track and remember what happened. And
it's something, especially with large casts as well. Like what was it, between the Stormlight Archive books? I think it was quite a while between part 1 and 2, and then 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, whatever, however it's split up. And I'd forgotten everyone. So apart from the main characters, like the 2 or 3 main characters, I was like, who's this guy again? And so I had to go back and figure it out. So yeah, I really like cast lists, and it actually changes from book to book as well. But yeah, the portraits, I just, ever since doing the special editions, I've just fallen in love with commissioning art, as a lot of authors are doing it at the moment, as we're doing a lot of Kickstarters, and Broken Binding and Patrick have been churning out some incredible arts for art pieces for all of their special editions. So yeah, just my timeline now is just amazing fantasy art, which is amazing, and it's incredible, and I love it. But yeah, so I've got the bug as well. And so I went back to the artist who's been doing the portraits, the color portraits for the Emaneska postcards we do. And because they've done such a good job, utterly incredible job, I should say, with those, then I thought, well, why not do kind of like some black and white? I know they're amazing. But yeah, why not do some like black and white, sort of in the style of kind of more Victorian? And so I put them in portrait frames and everything, and there's just one page with all 7 of them there. So yeah, it's really fun to do that. And then Dennis Kornev, who's done the art for the Emaneska special editions as well, has done 4 pieces for each book, as well as, and this came out of the blue like 3 weeks ago, he's decided for the 4th piece of Blood Feud to do a full page spread piece of art. So it's a carriage chase through the streets of London, and it's split across 2 pages. So yeah, that is, it looks so good.
So whenever I had messaged you about an idea, I don't want to give that away just in case when people read it.
We can talk about it. Yeah.
One of the things that when I was looking stuff out, I was like, man, like, I wonder, like, the train robbery. Like, I started looking all that stuff up, and I didn't realize that London had train robberies before the United States did.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There before it was a thing in the United States, because I was like, man, he could probably work that in to where it was actually here first. And then I started looking up, I was like, no, it wasn't.
100%. Yeah, some of the things that actually came up doing, I mean, this is way back in 2014, but also I did a bit more research this time because your idea was fantastic, and I'd honestly kind of missed a trick because I've put things in like Lincoln is in it, and we have a slightly weird kind of Queen Victoria victorious. One that not many people realize is Bremar Disraeli, the Lord Disraeli, is kind of based on Disraeli. In terms of name and name only. So yeah, I've kind of taken and switched a few of the names for historical people. But your Wyatt Earp one was genius because he's actually there at almost in the same month that the book is set in that area. He's probably within about 50 miles of where I set it in Wyoming. So I was like, why did I not realize that? And you pointed out, yeah.
It was just kind of a random thing because I looked at the time and I was like, well, I know he was alive at that point, but
yeah.
Know what he was. So when I looked it up, I was like, there's no way that he was actually in the same area.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Working on the same railroad as well that I've based my railroad on, which is obviously the Trans-America, Transcontinental. Yeah. It's so good.
Thought about today whenever I was actually walking was because I take my dog for a walk every morning or weekends on the morning. And one of the things I thought was, what would be funny is if he also threw in someone else like a Clint Westry.
I was thinking about that one. There are a few names. Yeah.
Random people, but name kind of, a name mix up of someone. Like it just started hitting me today because I was getting excited to do this. And I was like, all of a sudden, I just started thinking of Clint Eastwood, and then I was like, Eastwood, like, come on.
Yeah, like Clint Eastpine or something like that could be funny. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I love laying all those little bits in, and like one of the things, for instance, there's Gatling guns, which were conveniently invented, I believe, if I'm right, because it's been a couple of weeks or months since I looked at this, but like a year or two before, or like months before this situation, they're brand new. So I was like, yes, Gatling guns, and then what they kind of feature more in book 3 and mention a bit more in book 2. But London had an underground train network in 1867. And that's not even made up, which I did not realize. I thought the tube, as we call it, is that old. Yeah. So I call them in the book Rumbleground trains instead of underground. And yeah, they Marion in book 3 goes on one and things like that. And they kind of mentioned, but yeah, that wasn't me kind of pulling some strings. So there's a lot of historical accuracy, and there's a huge amount that's not. But then in the sort of bones of it,
even more now. Because history, like clearly, like I looked it up and was like, oh, hey, there's this and this. Like, love being able to kind of just piece those things together.
Yeah.
Where that stuff came from. That's what I love so much about historical fantasy, is just watching the actual pieces that they use and see how they used it in a different way. Like,
exactly.
Well, I think I love fantasy regardless, but
hell yeah.
reason I really love historical fantasy, but because I love history, so it's
same.
You get to marry my favorite thing with something in 2017 that I found out that I love too, which is fantasy books. So
yeah,
both of them together. So I love anytime someone's like, "Hey, this is historical fantasy," I'm like, I'll read it.
Yep. Give it to me.
And
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So all of a sudden you're talking about a Weird West. Okay, I'll do it.
That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, it feels weird because that's the thing. I did so much world building for Emaneska, and I did a lot of world building for Scarlet Star. But obviously, the work is kind of already, or some of it's already done. And I remember kind of my feelings that I just did want to try something completely new once I'd finished 4 or 5 years of blood, sweat, and tears poured into Emaneska. And I've obviously gone back to Emaneska since with the Scalussen Chronicles. But I wanted to just mess around and have fun as a self-published author and just try something new. And yeah, Weird West has always been something that we definitely need more of as far as I'm concerned as a reader. There's some great examples out there, like One Night in Sixes is excellent. That is a really, really good book, and highly recommend that. And there's some really, really good ones. Cold West as well is a great one.
By Clayton Snyder.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another one as well. that I had the pleasure of animating the cover for last year, and I forget. I think it's by Jamie Castle and Retzi Bruno, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's excellent.
Yes, I read that too. Book 2 is actually on my list to read.
Yeah. I could find it in my emails like right now. Somewhere their ears are tingling, being like, who's talking about us?
Oh my goodness.
What is it called? I've got it somewhere in my files. I know I do.
Weird. I'm just gonna look up weird. We got
where is it?
Cold as Hell.
Gosh, I literally just read it as you said it.
Series.
Because I knew it was something cold, but I was like, not Cold West. Yeah, so those are some really good examples. Yeah, but and mine again, they're slightly. Yeah, true. Yeah, but I think mine is kind of slightly. There's a lot more kind of political kind of lords and ladies and that sort of like. I've heard it called mana punk. I quite like that. So that sort of thing. But yeah, Gaslamp and that Victorian vibe, and it is supposed to be kind of this. I mean, Marion's supposed to be slightly annoying, and that sort of thing, because he's this silver spoon rich kid. Yeah, he is at the start as well. He's also very kind of stiff upper lip and British and Victorian, which as a British person myself, I could channel myself into that. But he's also a teenager, and he has suffered. His dad, he's now orphaned and been sent into a world that no one really knows much about. So. He's supposed to be annoying, but yeah, you're supposed to feel a little bit sorry for him. But it was quite fun to kind of show the Wild West through those eyes, and create my own version of the Wild West. And that's the thing. The big kind of fantasy aspect for the Scarlet Star trilogy is the Pacific Coast doesn't exist. No one can get there, and no one can even get from the other side over. So you just have this band of Earth that hasn't been explored or reached yet. So yeah, you don't have that kind of East meets West. Sort of American socio-political kind of sphere going on there. You have just this kind of pushing wave going across there. So obviously I can have a proper frontier with lots of creatures and weird things and rail rates. But yeah, it's just so fun. Twisting history around.
So one other thing that I was going to ask you about this, do you plan on doing an audiobook for this?
I thought you were going to say sequel, and I've been thinking about that as well.
I mean, I'm already down for it, so happy to those as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's just like I got to the end of it, and I planned a sequel back in the day, where I wanted Marion to go kind of back to Salem 100 years after the Salem witch trials, because that kind of perfectly lines up as well, and have that as a whole kind of new story. And I don't know if it'd be another series, but maybe like a blood, something else, blood. But yeah, but it would be kind of him being badass, because there's still kind of more shades to explore. There's a whole world to explore, and doing the map kind of showed me that and ignited some ideas as well. And when I was drawing that, I was thinking, I'd love to take Marion to, the Mayan Empire, for example, or, somewhere like the Ottoman Empire, and yeah, and stuff like that. The Caribbean, there's so many different ideas.
Like the whole indigenous story is something that I've wanted to read more into with fantasy. You've got Rebecca Rowanhorse, who's got her series, but there's not really much out there. I tried to read one called Grieving Gold last week. After about 100 pages, like it wasn't what I was hoping it would be.
That's a shame. Yeah.
Oh, I had to put it down. But
okay, yeah.
But that has always been something that I feel like just hasn't been done very much, and I really don't know why, because it's kind of, to me, it's a little bit like Nordic fantasy, where there's so much you can use. No one uses it for some weird reason. It's just not used very much.
Yeah.
So much there for people to use. Got to look it up.
That's the thing. Yeah, I think we definitely need more representation as well, and stories from the people who aren't white or from the UK. Let's say, what I mean. Yeah, true stories that written by the people who are the what am I trying to say? Written by the people who are best prepared and obviously, you know the stories inside and out. And I think that's something that we definitely need more representation in. And that's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to go back as well, because, you know, like I said earlier, I've learned a lot since being here in Vancouver, where it's still, you know, the idea of giving land back, and the fact that, you know, it's I mean, we could have a whole hour-long discussion about, you know, what I've learned about that side of things. But cutting it short, you know, I've learned a huge amount of you know, what it means. And then so to go back and kind of update 2014 Ben, who knew nothing, and so hopefully I've kind of updated Blood Rush to be more respectful and to, yeah, kind of not do the classic things that a lot of people who don't know what they're writing about can often fall. You know, that's a pitfall, essentially, is, you know, guessing and trusting in stereotypes and tropes. And it's like, that's really not the way to write. You know,
one of the things that I did after I read the book and wrote my review was I went back and looked at the reviews from the original.
Yeah,
and you could definitely tell just from what I wrote and the way and what I read versus what was written down, that there was a drastic change in what you had done. Like,
yeah.
read it before, but looking at their reviews on what they felt could have been different, and then what I read, I was like,
that's good to know.
Clearly, like, he saw some of this and was like, this is some things that I can improve on, and
yeah,
let's do that.
Yeah, that's it.
Read, like, being from someone who enjoys watching Old West movies and like that, like, it felt very real, like you were really there. Like, it was very cool. So
awesome. I appreciate that. That's good to know.
It's definitely one that I've told a lot of people. I was like, I know this isn't in your wheelhouse, but
but
it is. Like,
that's good to know. That's awesome. Thank you.
It really is. Like, there's a lot about it that, especially, you know, his aunt, the Undertaker.
Badass Lelaine.
Yeah. just top that you don't want to cross.
No, yeah. That's the thing, because she's a nerd. She's a massive geek, right? And yet she's badass, you know, as fuck. But that's the thing. It was really fun writing her, and also becoming reacquainted almost with her as well. And I mean, Lurker's the immediate badass. You look at him and you know he can swing a punch and fire a gun. So I wanted someone who's like secretly just tough as nails, because she's traveled the world and you don't really, and she's, I mean, they're both enigmatic. That's why I kind of want to explore even more, and, you know, with a possible sequel. And I've added a lot of things to the series as it is, to kind of explore their like relationships and history, because, you know, part of it's a love story. They, you know, Lurker and Lelaine have a little bit of a love story, Marion and Calladay and all sorts of things like that. It's not romantasy, but it's kind of, it has, I've always written love as a relationship, or as an aspect of character relationships. So yeah, it's kind of fun doing that, and they are characters that will constantly just kind of, I will come back to and use as an archetype. But yeah, Lane's badass. Yeah,
the type of thing that I like in fantasy when it comes to relationships with people. Like, I'm not big on romance in books. Like, I can watch it in a movie and a TV and be romantic in real life, but for some reason, just in books, the whole romance thing it's kind of a weird thing where it just doesn't feel natural. I don't know.
So yeah, I've read stuff like that. Yeah,
like you and even in Ryan Cahill, like, they do the same. Y'all both do the same thing where it's not really like a focal point, but you can tell it's there and it's been marinating. Like, that's the type of what I like to read, because it feels than just the whole lust thing. Like,
exactly. Yeah, there's love and there's sex. Obviously, there's all sorts of different types of love, familial love, etc. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, that the romantic side of things I have done, and, you know, I've written 2 hopefully okay sex scenes in Emaneska, and that's out of all of my books. I've written any since the Written and Pale Kings. But yeah, and also, I mean, like, the characters in this book are 16, so I'm like, that's also not the right place to be doing this. That's not right. So yeah, and I also kind of, I gotta say this carefully. The whole kind of, there's a traditional element. I know there's so many books out there that are doing so many different things in terms of different types of relationships, and I'm all here for it. But there is, a prevalence of that old archetype of kind of weaker woman character falling for a kind of more enigmatic, kind of a bit rough around the edges male, okay, and traditionally kind of masculine. And like, obviously that's a trope that we're all aware of. But I have to stay as far away from that as possible, because I love writing strong characters, whether they identify as male or female, and it's just something that I can't do. So the romances that I love to do, or throughout my books, are just kind of like the bickering old married couple. Love that. That's the kind of love relationship I want to write, because obviously they have a stronger connection, and you can then kind of mess around with that connection and create peril, which I love to do. But yeah, the bickering couple, the kind of like switching that kind of old trope that I was talking about. It's just fun to do that. I play around with a lot of kind of father-son, mother-son, or mother-daughter, father-daughter, and also kind of a lot of aunt and uncle relationships in my books as well, which is where we get that kind of love between Lelaine and Marion. But yeah, it's always there. I mean, relationships are a huge part of our life, so they can't be vacant from a fantasy book if you like it or not. Yeah, but it's cool. But I'm glad you really like Lelaine. She is fun, and it's fun to write kind of a slightly different villain, I think, as well. Dizali and Sif. Sif's your classic I am evil and will just always be evil, whereas like there's stuff in book 2 and 3 that will kind of put an edge on Dizali that I think you'll really like, because he's very human. He's not some Dark Lord character, which I think is fun. And that's the thing. There's a lot more subtlety in this book, I think, or I hope. But yeah, it's fun. I'm really, really excited for the launch. Terrified, like I said. But
yeah, and I mean, but you got the weekend to kind of marinate and let it a little bit, and then
I've got to cook a turkey tomorrow. It's Canadian Thanksgiving tomorrow, or this weekend. Yeah, we do ours a month earlier. I say they do theirs. I don't know. I'm not a Canadian citizen yet, but we, as in the local populace. Yeah, it's kind of odd.
I had no clue that it was done early.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I've always done like 2 Thanksgivings, because I've got a few American friends here as well, and so they will do their Thanksgiving in your normal, like November, isn't it? And then we do kind of like a mid-October. Then you have Halloween, then you have second Thanksgiving, and then straight into Christmas. It's great. You should try it out.
I mean, I'm all for having Thanksgiving food more than once. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is my weakest time of the year, because like one of the things that my family likes to do is smoke macaroni.
Ooh, okay.
Smoked macaroni, like my stepdad does it, and it is.
Like, I'm gonna have to Google that. Like as soon as we do this.
When you take it to the family, it doesn't last more than 30 minutes, because everyone's over there getting like the largest food they can to make. Like
that's awesome.
Try to do it. Like I can kind of do it okay, but my stepdad just does it to a point where it's
okay. Smoked macaroni. I'm gonna look that up afterwards.
Yeah. Put chopped bacon in it, and some other cheeses and something else in it. I'm not 100% on everything. Like
secret recipe.
Because I'm trying to do it myself without having to get help. Because this is kind of like I'd rather like try to figure it out than actually tell what to do for that.
Yeah.
And, but having that like more than just 2 times a year, because Thanksgiving and Christmas, like heck yeah, give it to me 3 times.
I know.
We can do it in October and November.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you can also do it in January as well. I don't know if maybe it's just like it's probably, I would say, is a kind of a UK thing. I don't know. Like a lot of people always do it, but a New Year's Day feast as well. So we will kind of like my family will normally just do another roast dinner, like Christmas dinner, a week after we do the Christmas dinner anyway. Maybe slightly different or kind of mix it up, but either way, just another massive feast on January 1st as well.
Usually like a smoked turkey or something.
Yeah. Okay.
But the main dish,
hungry now.
Black eyed peas type thing.
Yeah.
Bringing good luck to eat black eyed peas. I hate beans, so like it's like get the smallest little portion just so I can eat some and be like, I ate them all.
Yeah, that's it. Nice.
I've never been a bean person. It's just.
And in the UK, the land of beans.
See, that's like something that I like.
I got just a cupboard just for beans. Just beans and varieties of different beans. It's great.
I've come around to baked beans, but everything else, like if you're making chili and you put beans in it, like I'm like I eat around the beans, but I'll eat it, but I'm not touching those beans.
Well, that's very Wild West, though. There's a chapter I was literally editing earlier, or formatting, Buffalo and Beans, chapter 7, something like that, of Blood Rush.
I do a lot of things it's not considered very Southern. Sweet tea, like here in Texas, especially everywhere in the South, like sweet tea is a staple, but I can't stand sweet tea just because it always leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. I like sweet tea with lemon.
Yeah, I get confused though.
They're the only people in our family that'll do that.
No, but that's another thing. Like a difference in the Atlantic and the North America and Europe is tea is iced tea. I mean, we obviously have iced tea. Like classic Nestea and Lipton's. Peach iced tea, lemon iced tea. I see that a lot more. Like when I went back this year, I was quite surprised. But that's literally it's either tea in a cup with a tea bag and milk in afterwards, and very British, or it's the sweet tea. But then to have iced tea that's not sweet, that weird middle ground, and I've ordered it sometimes here and I just drank it expecting it to be sweet, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's happening? What is this? Because it's that horrible no man's land in the middle that I don't support.
One thing and get something completely different,
with like a bowl of sugar. I think I was in Seattle like a couple of weeks ago and I ordered it then, and it came with a little bowl of sugar. I was like, but the ice, it's cold. It's not, it doesn't it doesn't melt in. Dissolve, that's the word I'm looking for. Used all my words up today.
Mixes.
No.
Never thought about that. Yeah, no. It doesn't just melt to it, and
no, you just
it's better when it's hot. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I was stirring for ages with this thing and it just wouldn't work. But yeah.
I never realized
sugar water. Yeah, just do sugar water or something like that. It's easier. Some gum syrup. Oh man.
So the something else that I noticed that when I was looking at all your books is like you don't really stay in any kind of subgenre. Like it's fantasy, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Pretty much just kind of hit everything to just you go from somewhat grimdark with chasing, and then the Nordic fantasy, and then military fantasy with Shards.
Hearthstone. Yeah, Shards and Hearthstone. Yeah, both of those. Yeah.
I haven't heard of Stone yet, but I have read Shards.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a fun little story. Yeah.
That novella that I haven't got to the actual book yet.
Yeah.
And then of course you have high fantasy with David Estes. Then you have and then you're going with a horror fantasy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Really kind of you say fantasy, but you definitely like you're hitting all these little areas of just I'm touching on everything because this is what I'm feeling. Like love that. You're giving people that like your writing, you're giving them just a little bit of everything so that
hope so.
Dip their toes into something. They're like, well, I know I like Ben Galley, so I'll just read what he wrote.
Yeah. Oh, and I appreciate that. It's kind of fun. I mean, yeah, it's mostly I don't know if it's like my like some sort of attention deficit. I don't know what it is, but like I do I do like new projects, that classic thing of when you're at the halfway through the book you're writing, you suddenly get an idea that you can't wait to get into. I have I think I might have shown this off on the Bit of Darkness interviews, but this is my little Bible, and it's got where is it? Just ideas and ideas. I can't even see it. There you go. I feel like the things around the wrong way. Either way, just ideas and ideas and ideas. Some of them could be short stories.
That you're doing the same thing you're doing because the camera.
I know.
Like backwards. So
yeah, I thought I'd mirrored it.
Camera, I'm leaning right.
I don't know what's going on, but either way, that little tiny book there, yeah, it's got like 150 ideas in, and each one of them is like a fantasy idea, either for a short story or a scene at very least, or most of them are going to be a whole trilogy. And I've got my whole kind of like solar system that I'm now trying to populate. So yeah, it's fun to mess around with it. It might seem that I do hop around a lot, but it's all pointing towards kind of a thing, like my own sort of like Cosmere. So for instance, Scarlet Star is the one that kind of really stands alone in its own little dimension. But yeah, in terms of like Emaneska, it's in the same world as Heart of Stone and Shards. Bloodwood Saga is technically connected as well, but it's in a different planet / moon plane in the solar system. The new trilogy is going to be on another planet that's next to Emaneska's planet, and yeah, so there's a whole kind of thing being built up. But yeah, the whole horror fantasy that I was planning might actually be a bit more high fantasy as well, because yeah, I'm kind of, it's not like I'm trying to be commercial or anything like that, but I had just a random idea for it the other day, and it's kind of changed it, but it will be still kind of because I've always written kind of dark and gritty. I've always kind of branded myself as kind of dark and epic. I know epic and high can sometimes trade places, but there's always kind of that dark element. Like Emaneska, there's some kind of dark scenes that wouldn't kind of look out of place in Chasing Graves. Scarlet Star, I mean, there's implied darkness. There's a horrible scene in number 3, actually, kind of hits into the darkness of it. But yeah, there's always, I like to think, kind of that gritty edge to it. But yeah, I do love to hop around and try out new things. And but I think if there was going to be a vein, it's just epic and dark, whatever that might mean. But yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun to mess around. That's the beauty of being self-published. I would like to write sci-fi one day. I'd like to write full-on real-world horror. I've got a trilogy plan that's set in the real world, between sort of like around the noughties and the 2010s. That's which I started writing the other day, and I don't know why, because I've got too many things to write already. But I just had an idea and found myself writing 500 words of it.
Is when they're there and it just flows out.
Yep. Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm the same way, but like, because I don't really plan on ever writing, but I do end up getting ideas sometimes, and I'll jot them down. Like, funny enough, ideas that I have is a fantasy western.
Oh, do it. We need more.
Man, I think 2 years ago, and it was probably after I read Cold as Hell. So it might have read that, and like that was kind of in my head. So I just kind of wrote a few scenes down that I thought would just like the whole like all I have written down is basically like an opening scene where all of a sudden just a guy's walking in the whole Western scene, and he's just walking in with his spurs tingling, and
it's one thing I didn't do.
Yeah, you got that just kind of feel going on, like, and then that's basically all I've got written down. But there was something that happened, and I was like, man,
the spark.
This is really cool. So.
No, I love it when that happens, and that's what my little book is about. So I don't lose any of them, and it's kind of backed up on my my devices as well. But it's when it strikes, and that's why I kind of like try and keep them ordered and have to kind of figure out where most of my excitement lies. But yeah, that's the thing about like you just kind of reminded me something there of like an article or a panel I was on years ago, but it's about the parallels between kind of the European epic dark fantasy that we're used to, and why it kind of, I think it meshes so well with this, the Wild West. It's just, anything can happen. Lawless places. You've got that lone gunslinger, but then on the other side, you've got that kind of mysterious man with a sword, usually on his back or something like that. The lone mage living in a lawless time. Yeah, I think that they're quite transferable. And to be honest, I really, really enjoy, and this probably goes back to why I write kind of different things at different times. But yeah, when you see that kind of like a new flavor of fantasy, because I really like nautical fantasy and like pirate fantasy, like Rob J. Hayes theories. I really, really enjoy just any sort of flavor that's blended with fantasy. I'm trying to think of one that hasn't been done, but a lot of them have been done. Like science fantasy, I can't wait to mess around with. I'm really trying to think of one. Underwater fantasy. I don't know.
That would cool. Just like right now with Kraken Rider Z. Like, I mean, it's more above, but it's got a few scenes underwater.
Yeah,
I mean, it is Kraken. So
that's it. Yeah.
I do kind of like the whole, and I think a lot of it is just the fact that since I've been reading, most of the stuff you see is kind of based on Nordic fantasy, Nordic history, or Middle Earth type of, usually always kind of in that vein. So
European medieval.
Out with all the other little things because they're just a little bit different than what almost everything else is. So it makes it more of a different read because you're getting something else.
Exactly.
I'm branching out because over the past, I guess, year and a half, I've done that a lot more on other subgenres and or authors from different parts of the world. Like you use, because I mean, I don't know what it is, but like American authors, like they kind of have like one lane, and a lot of them kind of stay in that same vein. So branching out to actual other people and seeing the different genre stuff in fantasy, I think is very cool.
Because it's awesome. Yeah.
There's so many there that just kind of get passed by because they're not part of the whole epic fantasy or in that Nordic fantasy vein. And I'm like, hey, there's so much out here. Like,
I know.
Great.
That's it. It's representation, like we were saying. It's there's only so many stories you can tell in a medieval European setting. Or only so many stories that can be told by European, let's say predominantly European ancestry. And it's amazing to see like more and more representation. I love what the publishers are doing, and a lot of the self-publishers I see at the moment, that we're getting so many different stories and we're seeing so much representation like we never have. At least from my perspective and what I see online, from people all over the world. It's just so fresh because it's a new way of story or a different way of storytelling. Different aspects of different cultures, are being kind of shown off and, introduced to like the wider audiences. And I love it. In fact, what was I reading recently? Sun and the Void. Yeah, that was it. By Gabriela Romero Lacruz. That really was, really fresh. Obviously, like a non-traditional, Nordic medieval European setting, and it's in terms of the voice, it's just incredible. It was fresh. It's not going to go back on my bookshelf, so I can just sit there.
Fairly certain. I was looking into new releases, and I think book 2 is actually going to be coming out. I know it's coming out next year. I can't remember when it was. Look it back up again. But I saw the second cover, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
that one's getting a sequel." Okay.
Yeah. No, it's so important. I think it's amazing, and that's why it's. I think there's been a lot of cultures appropriated over the years, unintentionally, intentionally, often probably with no malice and things like that, by a lot of authors. Especially back in the day, and it was predominantly just white males. Yeah, that's it. And it's just like I'm all up for change. I'm all up for variety. That's why I write so many different genres and so many different worlds and things like that, because I like variety and I like learning and being exposed to things outside the norm. And I think it's just an amazing time to be a fantasy reader, never mind an author at the moment. It's almost like, could we just take a break for 3 months or so if everyone just chill so we can kind of catch up with the reading a little bit, because I reckon I could get if I had nothing else to do but read, I could catch up on a lot of these books. There's too many. Not, even just the self-publishing releases that I want to read, there's too many. And then you've got trad and hybrid. It's great, but it's
totally branching into just reading actual historical fiction here lately. So I've went from fantasy to historical fantasy, and now I'm like, now I kind of want to read some just historical fiction. And all I'm doing is just opening myself up to making my TBR even larger than what it is.
That's it. Just one genre's too much.
I just stuck in here and read as much as I possibly could. Art of Cornwell for the first time.
Oh,
and
cool. Yeah.
the Warlord Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I don't know what hit me, but all of a sudden I wanted to read a little bit more about King Arthur, and so I was
Yeah.
like, start here with this, and then
Yeah.
actually a little bit more of he's not King Arthur, he's just Arthur. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I kind of like this direction. It's different.
Yeah. Or Uthred. Yeah.
And
What's
yeah,
yeah.
it's
What was the
I
trying to think of one that you
love
read?
wide range, and I think people should like try to do that a lot more rather than
Yeah.
staying in and even people that the ones that just want to read Wheel of Time and Amazon over and over again. I'm like, man, sometimes just like give yourself a little bit of a break from that and read this. Just go back to that. Just you know, because I know people that have read the Wheel of Time like 4 times this year already, and I'm like, why? Like,
just the sheer amount of time that would take. Yeah.
What? But there's other books.
Yeah.
Branch off a little bit. Find something else you might like. Like all these authors out there, other than this, just that one.
Yeah. I've heard it called the Subway effect. Like when you go to Subway, you normally order the exact same Subway sandwich over and over again, right? Usually. Yeah. Yeah.
Thing, and I'd get it every single time, and I never.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
it makes sense now.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's the psychology of and the emotional kind of security, I think, which is if someone likes A, they might try A.1 or A.2, but they don't want to try B. That's it. But no, I'm all up for it. I actually started reading when I was a kid. I'd read a ton of sci-fi and things like that, and it's surprised I haven't actually written, well, not published any at least, any sci-fi because I really, really enjoy it. Most of the kind of films I watch or TV I watch is predominantly sci-fi. I love it. I can't wait to write it one day. But then also horror. If I'm not watching sci-fi, I'm watching horror, and that's a genre I'd love to write. But then I don't read it. It's not, I stick within fantasy and sci-fi, mostly fantasy. But yeah, my partner Rachel Claymore Covers, who obviously did the cover for Blood Rush and the new versions. Massive horror reader. Reads a lot of horror in general and is always finding incredible new books that I need to read. So she's now building up my TBR. Like, God damn. My God.
I forgot. There's a new movie that just came out. It's the third one. Have you watched any? I'm trying to look it up. People walk. Yeah, it's a scary movie that just now coming out. 1 and 2 apparently it's so bad that people are walking out of the theater.
Terrifier.
I could not think of it.
I started watching one of the spin-off All Hallows Eve yesterday or the day before, and I was just too tired for it. But it's like from what I've heard, like kind of B movie, but not B movie, but it's got that vibe, and it's terrifying and horrible.
1980s style.
Like slashery.
I want to watch it now.
What did I just watch that was really good? Hold Your Breath, I thought was really interesting. The new one on Disney with I can't remember her name now. She's a really fantastic actor. Either way, it's called Hold Your Breath. That's my newest recommendation. And what was one that really, really got me the other day? Oh, Alien Romulus, sci-fi and horror, my absolute favorite. That is one of the best films or horrors I've seen in a long time. Yeah, just perfect alien vibes.
So, 1930s Oklahoma with Sarah Paulson.
That's her name, Sarah Paulson. She's brilliant. Yeah, really creepy. Really like dramatic. Lots of kind of like familial interactions, character-wise. Really, really cool. Lots of tension, and I quite like this Dust Bowl setting. It kind of felt like the start of Interstellar as a setting, as well as another film that I thought at the time, but can't remember now. But yeah, it gave me sort of like really, I don't know, just kind of like it's not Midwest noir, but it's that kind of Dust Bowl 1930s depression feeling.
A sinister presence threatening her family. Okay, yeah, that's
yeah. Because halfway through, I wasn't sure if it was supernatural. I didn't know if someone was going like possessed. It's very clever. It's really good. But I enjoyed it anyway. It might not be. That's the thing. It's so subjective with books and movies as always. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like that.
It's always if they got it's dialogue. It's the actual plot, it's the writing, and that's the thing I think as I approach it, and that's why horror films fall down so much. And I know I'm waffling on about horror films, but it's just the ending. Most horror films do not stick the ending, and it's just I want to go and find the writer and be like, just give it 2 more minutes, wrap the storylines up. I'm all up for cliffhangers, but no, you need some sort of conclusion of some sort.
Seem like a lot of horror movies do try to do that cliffhanger of where, there's going to be another one now.
Oh, that, yeah.
Almost every horror movie, either they just kind of end it, or they always have that little cliffhanger of you think it's over, and then all of a sudden you see them like, another one.
Yeah, it was, what's the one I watched? 13, I think it's 13 Cameras, which is the second one out of the 12, 13, and 14 cameras, I think.
Okay.
And either way, it's the second one, and they're kind of very weird horror films. But in the second one, there's so much, like they spend so long setting up this family and the relationships in between this like daughter and son, and then the daughter's friend in an Airbnb for a week. And there's all sorts of creepy things happening around them. But then they go through so much, and they are the main characters. And then they have this big end scene, and then it just cuts to the villain in Mexico, escaped. And you're like, what? And then you see no more from the family. You see there's no resolution. Like there's dead people all around their home, and there was this whole storyline between the younger characters. And you're like, where's that gone? Just give me 2 more minutes. Yeah, very bizarre. It's an alright film, but yeah, either way.
Well, man, we're about at an hour.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I'll go ahead and let you go. It's been
worries.
Very fun to sit here and talk about everything that's coming up, your books, all of your books, Scarlet in particular, and then also kind of talking about some of the movie stuff that
I know.
Like, I would like to talk more, but I do also have a few things that I still got to do.
That's it. I'll go do some formatting, but
our Longhorns are going to be playing very soon.
Oh, that's true.
So.
That's true. Yeah, no, awesome. Well, thank you, Michael. Honestly, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for having me on and chatting. And I promise, I do get distracted by film, but hopefully, I love a good tangent.
If I didn't stop, like, I would keep going. Like, this is what I do. Like, I can go to my family's house and be like, I'm only going to be there for like 10 minutes, 2 hours just talking.
Yeah.
I have a bad thing about it, and like I actually started a group on Facebook for sports, and we call it Off Topic Sports, for the simple fact that we'll start talking and then get off topic and rambling about other stuff. So
that's excellent.
I literally created it for that reason, because I just go.
Oh man, yeah, no, I love a tangent. Can't help it. But no, thank you very much. I'm honored to be here, and really appreciate it. It's great to talk to you and to meet you as well. Finally.
Hopefully, I'll get to meet you soon. Whenever, if there's more cons that come into the U.S. I actually, after meeting Ryan Cahill and I forgot his name. Let me look for his book. Oh, Chris Ferracchio.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was gonna say it. That was the US. Yeah.
Yeah. After meeting them in Arlington, I was like, man, and meeting all the people that showed up, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to start going to these cons and more reviewers and stuff.
World Cons in Seattle this year, and Dragon Con is always a blast in Atlanta. So yeah, I'll probably try and hit both of those next year.
I know my roommate, her family actually lives in Alabama.
Okay.
So I've already talked to them, like, hey, if I can go to this, like, is there a place I can go? Let me stay at, so that I can fly there. I can just go over there and then drive. They're like, absolutely. Cool.
Sweet. That's it. Well, I'll see you there then next year. Awesome stuff. Cool.
Well, have a good one.
You too, man.
Hopefully we can do this again soon with another series.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Take care. Cheers, Michael.